Here is the United Kingdom. They once ruled nearly half the world. They had spices from India, tea from China, recipes from France, and seafood all around them. And yet, they chose to eat baked beans on toast and proudly serve fish and chips. But why does a wealthy country settle for such a bland cuisine? Let's find out. Typically, people don't judge a cuisine based on a few specific dishes. But with Britain, it's different.
Today we're going to be trying some British food.
Oh no!
The British cuisine is frequently characterized by a number of notable limitations. First is its bland flavor, lacking the richness of Asian or Mediterranean cuisines. Dishes usually rely on basic seasonings like salt, pepper, and simple sauces. Take fish and chips, Britain's most famous dish worldwide. It's so bland that people often prefer the batter over the main ingredients.
I love the crispy batter. That's maybe my favorite part of the fish and chips.
And if someone praises the main ingredient, they're usually talking about texture, rarely flavor.
But I'm responding probably the most favorably to the crispiness.
In many of the world's renowned cuisines, each signature dish is crafted through a complex combination of ingredients, sometimes involving dozens of components. In contrast, British cuisine is not only known for its bland flavors, but also for its unappealing presentation.
Well, beans on toast is one of the most classic British dishes.
Oh my god! It's definitely food.
It's hard to expect its flavor to surprise anyone.
Is it good?
No!
Due to this overly simplistic cuisine, the British heavily rely on processed foods. Baked beans, for example. According to The Economist, Britons consume over 2 million cans of baked beans daily, more than the rest of the world combined. As one of the wealthiest nations on Earth, the British eat as if German planes were still flying overhead. But why? First, natural and geographical conditions are undoubtedly key factors to consider. As an isolated island nation in northwest Europe, Britain boasts a long coastline with abundant seafood. Yet, they fail to capitalize on this advantage. Compared to other European countries like France or Italy, Britain lacks fertile plains for agriculture. They can only grow cold-tolerant crops like potatoes, cabbage, carrots, and onions. Without sufficient local ingredients, creating or preparing dishes from available seafood is nearly impossible. Their options are limited to frying, like fish and chips, or smoking, like kippers. Moreover, the harsh climate has further impacts. Living in a temperate oceanic climate with high humidity, long winters, and little sunshine, the British developed habits of preserving food by salting, drying, or canning. As a result, their dishes prioritize practicality and longevity over refined flavors. That's not all. History also hindered the development of British cuisine. In the 18th century, the first industrial revolution erupted. The advent of machinery transformed how people worked and labored. During this period, many left rural areas to work in factories and cities. The emergence of numerous industrial zones accelerated the process of urbanization. Small-scale handicraft production gave way to large-scale, machine-based manufacturing. The working class, enduring harsh living conditions and laboring 14 to 16 hours a day, were compelled to abandon elaborate meals in favor of food that was quicker and more convenient. By the 20th century, things got even worse. The two world wars caused severe food shortages. The British couldn't prioritize eating well. They had to eat to survive. Generations grew up on eggs, flour, canned goods, and a type of hard bread that was only swallowable with great effort. This effectively obliterated their sense of taste in a short time. Additionally, family cohesion sometimes impacts cuisine. If you observe closely, you'll notice that in countries with rich cuisines, the passion for cooking is deeply tied to memories of family, friends, and joyful times. A Britain once shared, that attitude, generally speaking, isn't really present in mainstream white British culture. We don't like spending time with our extended families. We hate when kids bother us. And we don't like being too ostentatious about showing love for each other. Thus, the British lack the culinary inspiration found in many other countries. However, when looking at the bigger picture, natural conditions, climate, historical hardships, or family traditions alone don't fully explain the poverty of British cuisine. France, which also endured 2 devastating world wars, maintained a strong culinary tradition. Middle Eastern countries with harsh climates are highly creative and diverse in their food. So, what's the real difference? The answer is simple: people, or more specifically, the conservative nature of the British. Once ruling the largest empire in human history, spanning over 33 million square kilometers across the globe, the British had access to some of the world's most vibrant culinary cultures. They even had a colony, India, that produced over 75% of the world's spices. Yet they didn't leverage these advantages to compensate for their lack of ingredients due to harsh climates. Tea is perhaps a notable exception that British cuisine embraced. Moreover, even in the modern world, while other nations eagerly adopt international cuisines, the British remain loyal to their age-old, simplistic dishes. Fundamentally, British cuisine reflects their conservative nature, but their conservatism isn't limited to food. Let me prove it to you now. Conservatism is a prominent feature in British culture, society, politics, and daily life. Their parliamentary system, established in 1215 when King John was forced to accept that the monarch's power wasn't absolute and had to consult nobles on taxes and laws, has persisted. The main political parties, Conservative and Labour, dominate with little significant change. While many European and global nations have abolished monarchies or reduced royal influence, Britain hasn't. Coronations, royal weddings, and the Trooping the Colour military parade remain largely unchanged in their organization. Opposing the monarchy is seen as disrespecting national tradition. In education, prestigious universities like Oxford and Cambridge maintain teaching standards that have barely changed for centuries, adhering to highly academic methods. In daily life, the British are known for polite but distant communication. They rarely express strong emotions, even when angry or joyful. They also favor classic fashion, like suits, trench coats, or trousers, especially in professional or formal settings. This conservatism didn't emerge out of nowhere. It was shaped by various historical factors. Britain's isolated position, separated from mainland Europe by the English Channel, shielded it from direct invasions or political upheavals. But this also fostered a mindset less open to external change. Historically, Britain was rarely conquered, with exceptions like the Roman invasion in 43 CE or the Norman conquest in 1066. In World War II, even the formidable army of the Austrian painter couldn't overcome Britain's unique geographical challenges. With no external force strong enough to influence Britain, they had little reason to adapt or change. However, change initiated from within Britain is a different story. The first industrial revolution began in Britain, led by pioneering British inventors. Britain had all the critical conditions to birth this revolution. First, the Enlightenment in Europe produced brilliant scholars whose discoveries in mathematics, physics, chemistry, and natural sciences laid the groundwork for advancements in industrial technology. Geographically, Britain had abundant coal, iron, and minerals located close together, facilitating the revolution. Socially, the British aristocracy engaged in commerce, forming a new aristocratic class with interests aligned with the bourgeoisie. For instance, the demand for wool led to the enclosure movement, where aristocrats evicted farmers to turn farmland into pastures for sheep. Displaced farmers were forced into urban factories. Most crucially, Britain exploited vast resources from its colonies, especially India, to fuel industrialization. Renowned economist Utsa Patnaik, based on detailed tax and trade data over nearly 2 centuries, estimated that British colonialists extracted approximately $45 trillion in 2017 values from India between 1765 and 1938, 17 times Britain's GDP in that period. Thanks to the monumental achievements of the First Industrial Revolution, Britain entered a new era. From 1815 to 1914, historians call this the Imperial Century of Britain. They expanded their territory by 10 million square miles, 26 million kilometers squared, and controlled an additional 400 million people. Their victory over Napoleon at Waterloo left them with no significant international rivals except the Russian Empire. At an untouchable peak, they adopted a foreign policy called splendid isolation. This policy, coined in the late 19th century, rested on core beliefs. Britain didn't need alliances with other nations, as its powerful navy could protect its interests, prioritizing colonial protection over meddling in European politics. The world should adapt to Britain, not the other way around. Thus, no matter how vibrant other cultures' cuisines were, the British showed little interest in adopting them. Today, though no longer the world's top superpower, British conservatism remains evident in foreign policy. Before 2020, as an EU member, Britain retained the pound instead of adopting the euro. After 2020, they pursued Brexit, leaving the EU to return to their splendid isolation. That said, in recent decades, British cuisine has seen some positive changes. The Foggy Island has produced world-class chefs like Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver. Restaurants in Britain, especially in London, now boast numerous Michelin stars, signaling a significant improvement in culinary quality. At the 2024 Paris Olympics, the British sports delegation even criticized French food and brought their own chefs. It seems they're starting to know how to enrich their cuisine.